All right, scholars, we're jumping into this. Is supposed to be one of the biggest devs insights. I just woke up. I'm not gonna lie, I was up all night. I'm still working on my house, rearranging everything, and I was like up to like 2 o'clock in the morning. So now I'm just waking up. It's like 11 o'clock for me. We're jumping into it. So we're gonna go bar for bar. Okay. Welcome back to our third and final dev insight before Monument of Triumph launches on June 9th. Last Thursday was all about our weapons. Now we're getting abilities, exotics, and armor. This is going to be huge because a lot of people expected them to nerf things to the ground. We're going to find out whether they're going to keep the power fantasy or if they're going to bring it back down to like Destiny 1 standards. Let's find out. So ability sandbox, new ability subclass abilities, ability reworks, ability balance changes, armor 3.0 update, archetype, set bonuses, exotic armor stats, armor balance preview. So let's just jump into it. So ability sandbox updates. Hey there, Guardians, gameplay team here with an update on the ability sandbox for the upcoming Monument of Triumph release. We've been heads down dreaming of new abilities and refining existing ones, and we've got some juicy changes to talk about today. New subclass ability. So new solar and void aspects. I know they leaked some of these on Twitter. Well, they showcased some of them. Some of them look interesting. For too long, certain subclasses have lagged behind others in the number of aspects available to them. Monument of Triumph will remedy this. That imbalance with 3 new aspects, bringing every non-prismatic subclass up to 4. First up, Titans. We've got the Shield Burst. We could read it here, but I'm going to read what it says. Enhance your equipped barricade with solar capabilities. Towering barricade. Your barricade slides forward across the ground before stopping. What? Allowing you to advance in safety. Okay. Rally barricade. Standing behind your barricade grants scorching rounds to you and your allies and solar. This one is huge. You're getting solar capability to kinetic weapons and your other, so you can stack scorch. Oh my god. While your barricade is deployed, activate your class ability again to remotely detonate it. Scorching combatants caught in the detonation, dealing damage. That's sick. Okay, so let's get a little look-see. Let's see what it looks like. It's so stupid, man. It's funny, but it's so stupid. I'm sure it's gonna be really good to use, though. That looks sick, though. Yeah, giving your kinetic more options is sick. The shield burst aspect essentially turns your barricade into wall of glass with a C4 charge to it. Yeah, it gives me Call of Duty vibes. Put it on top of something, blow up, baby. It'll charge up over time when it takes damage, and when you deal damage while it's active, the more charges it up, the more damage it'll do. So cool. You're absorbing damage. That's some anime shit right there. More projectiles it'll throw out. Like, it's like I'm charging my attack, and then you just throw it back at them. Sick. Yeah, the ability damage is buffed by roaring flames aspect and create sunspots when paired with Soul Invictus aspect. Damage for this ability also scales your class stat. Okay, so interesting. Nicely exotic like Arbor Warden, Hollow Fire Heart, and Kepri's Horn. Yeah, there's some synergy there, that's for sure. Hello, what is this gun? I'm looking at this gun right here. What is that? Okay, and what is that helmet too? In addition, with Monument of Triumph, you'll find other class ability aspects that directly deal damage now. Scale to their damage with class stat. Note that Warlock Construct damage continues to scale with Grenade stat instead. We got Crack Shot. Activate your class ability to fire up 3 scored shots at targets you've marked. Aim at targets to mark them. Land all 3 shots. Cures you. Okay, let's just see it. Wait. Is that that's a class ability? I'm sorry, this is what? We'll have to see the damage scaling. Like, it's interesting that that's a class ability. Yeah, I don't know. Don't get me wrong, it's cool, but it's like, okay, we'll see how it plays out. That's me, not you. Crack Shot is the ultimate gunslinger fantasy. Mark up to 3 targets, then dodge to quick draw a flaming pistol and light them up with Deadeye precision. If you have a single target marked, and fire all 3 shots at them. If you have multiple targets marked, it will split the shots between them. Landing all 3 shots will cure you, providing some breathing room mid-combat. If you can also be used while airborne, and the damage this ability scales to your class stat. Okay, well, let's see how it builds out. Yeah, we'll have to see how it plays out. I mean, I give him A for credit for trying something new, even though it's like at the end of days. There are some strong exotic armor combos with this one, including Radiant Dance Machines. Ooh, 6 Coyote. You can combo the Scorch stacks of other Scorch stacks. Still waking up, sorry guys. It also pairs well with the on your mark and gunpowder gamble aspect, as Crack Shot damage counts toward their progress. Nice. All right, we got Soul Siphon for a Warlock. Ready this aspect by striking a foe with your powered melee. Once readied, press your melee ability to begin siphoning energy from all enemies in front of you, dealing damage and gathering overshield and class ability energy from target. I saw this one on Twitter. It's got the real fantasy, like sci-fi, like not even sci-fi, the fantasy. Yeah, if you feel like actual Warlock when you think of magic, like that's it, man. It's sick. It's just one of those things, like, why couldn't we have had that beforehand? Soul Siphon turns you into life-draining vampire mage where you were always meant to be. The Void Walker's Pocket Singularity melee has 2 charges by default, making the baseline uptime for this aspect high. But building into the melee regeneration will make it pay off even more. Building into the melee stat can increase both the uptime and damage of the Soul Siphon. I still don't think it's worth it though. Like, unless you're doing massive damage with this thing, why? Like, Warlocks, I'm sorry, you have to really force me to not want to use grenades. Like a cool, neat, you know, I don't even know, maybe PvP, but PvE, like, okay. Why would I use this over? You're tagging up to 3 people. Can you tag more than 3? You get a whole group of them with one melee. Like, unless you can crowd wipe with this melee, I don't care. Let's be honest, I don't care. Building into the melee stat, and then it pairs well with exotic armor like Felwinter's Helm, Claw of Alhabakara, Karnstein armlets. The overshield this provides allows you to stay in the fight longer. The class energy you gain from draining enemies also pairs well with the Child of the Old God aspect. There's synergies, but do we care? New Darkness Grenade. Oh my god, finally. We got Stasis Shatter Grenade. A grenade that sticks to combatants before exploding into razor-sharp stasis shrapnel. The shrapnel ricochets off surfaces, dealing damage in all its path. Hitting a frozen target shatters it instantly. That is and deals bonus damage. That is what's important. Because if you're freezing an entire room or something with like your turret buddies, and you just throw that in there, yeah, that is a utility I would like this. That's sick. Because instead of having to sit there and shoot multiple targets, you just throw your name and blow up the whole room. That's sick. Yeah, like that is sick. Hunter Revenant enjoyers will be happy to hear that Touch of Wind aspect also has a unique interaction with this grenade. Ooh. Ooh. Oh, Threadrunner, on related notes. A while back, we changed the stasis shatter damage to stun overload champions instead of unstoppable. We're reverting the change. Oh my god, thank god. That was such a stupid change. Thank you. Now stasis can now stun them. Thank god. So stasis shatter will again stun unstops instead of overloads, as the shatter grenade name implies. It'll stun unstoppable champions immediately on detonation. Thank god. That's so stupid. I'm glad. I'm so glad we got Slice Wire Grenade. A grenade that bounces and releases multiple whirling threads, severing targets. Let's see. Really, most of the grenades used are just like suspension or, you know. Oh, okay, yeah. So it's okay. That's kind of what I thought we would probably get in the future. Now, whether it's good, that's a different story. The Strand Slice Wire Grenade is a damage dealer with first and foremost. I just want to see what it pairs well with. The damage can really pile up if you're able to land 4 lashes on a group of enemies. The grenade also has unique functionality when paired with a Warlock Broodweaver's Mind Spun Invocation aspect, which will let you discover on your own. Neat. New Night Stalker. I saw this one. We actually have a real melee. It's kind of funny. I'm just going to show you what it says. Dash forward. Slashing combatants as you pass through them deals significant increased damage to void debuff targets and targets marked by on the prowl. Grenade void overshield. Generate void overshield for each combatant hit. Defeating at least one grants additional overshield and refunds some melee energy. You are actually using your blades. That's cool. Whether it's good, I mean, it's got to be better than smoke grenades outside of applying debuffs for certain combos. But I mean, you got to give credit where credit's due. At least we have a real melee, and it looks sick. It's like shoulder charge, but with knives instead. I'm going to be interested to see how it plays out in PvP as well. Phantom Surge ushers in a new age of Night Stalker aggression. By the way, that helmet looks kind of cool. Whereas tossing a smoke grenade is a relative passive action, Phantom Surge asks a Night Stalker to cut straight through the enemies. The overshield you gain from hitting enemies is substantial. Our brilliant engineering team created a new tech for this ability that enables you to pass straight through enemy units. Oh my god, cool. The damage is increased versus void debuff target, giving a strong combo potential with abilities and weapons. Yeah. Sick. No vanishing step required. Other elements of Night Stalker kit are also reworked, some of which we'll talk about later. Oh, smoke bombs getting love. It makes you and other allies invisible by default. That's huge. Ability rework. Okay. So we reworked a few abilities to make them fit in their kits or enhance them in general. Let's talk about the Hunter Trapper's Ambush aspect. Activate your air move to consume your ability energy and dive to the ground, damaging targets on impact. Damage is greatly increased if striking while you have any positive void status. Damaging enemies with this ability heals you and defeat combatants with this ability grants Devour. I have to see it. Let's see it. Okay. I mean, if you're doing this with if you're adding this with Omnioculus, where you give everyone invisibility, this is not bad. You're getting Devour and you're giving your team invisibility, and you're just I feel like this building into the Omnioculus support build, you just spam being invisible, you're not dying because you have Devour. I like this. That's the combo I'm thinking in my head right now. Night Stalkers previously had several ways to go invisible, but not many ways to capitalize invisibility. Trapper's Ambush is now a substantial damage dealer, and that damage is increased if you cast it while invisible or under the effect of void buff. Casting while invisible will refresh your invisibility while you hit the ground, and it retains its previous smoke cloud behavior when paired with Vanishing Step aspect. Trapper's Ambush now uses class ability energy instead of melee energy, and thus activates class ability perks like Marksman's Dodge and Gambler's Dodge. This enables you to combo with the new Phantom Surge melee in creative ways. Finally, defeating enemies with Trapper's Ambush grants Devour. We talked about that. So they reworked Titan Ward of Dawn to where you could pick it up and throw it up to 2 times. Create a large protective dome while inside. Allies gain overshield and increased weapon damage while targets inside are weakened. So that's what they changed. This is what it looks like. I can kind of skip through this because I watch this pretty substantially. Yeah, so they're weakened. That's new, is being weakened, but you keep the overshield, but you don't keep the weapon of light. I don't like that. I think it's stupid that you don't keep it for a brief amount of time. See, you keep the overshield for a certain amount of time. They give you a countdown, but you don't keep the weapons of light unless you can do what you did in Destiny 1 and peek out a little bit, which I think people are going to try to find some way to break. I would. It's now a giant Thunderdome that you fight inside. I don't like that. This is new bubble. I mean, it's going to be probably good for PvP. Sentinel's Dome, expanding their sphere of influence in the battlefield, or for like survivability. The Helm of Saint 14 also has reworked to extend the time that the ward lives and allows you and your allies to take weapons like outside of the dome. This is stupid. You shouldn't have to use an exotic to make a super good, like in this sense. I'm okay with increasing the time, and I would be okay if they made it increase the potency. Like, let's say it's reduced in what it provides, and you use the weapon, because we have other exotics like, let's say Celestial Nighthawk increases the potency of Golden Gun, but on its own, Golden Gun can hit hard. To me, it's stupid. I think this is a big fat L. I think it's cool that you can take it with you. You can move the bubble. That's sick. But I think the fact that you have to be inside to get the benefits or wear Helm of Saint 14 is stupid. I think it's stupid. That's just my honest opinion. All right, we got Broodweaver, Mindspun Invocation, Threadling Grenade. Holding the grenade input charges your Threadling Grenade, causing it to weave a Threadling nest. Okay, let's just watch it. Okay, I see. Okay, well, that's actually, if you were trying to do a minion build, that's just better. Like, yeah, that's sick. Because you can then just sit there and collect your threadlings. Yeah, I saw at least what 5 No, that was 4 to 5 threadlings. So that was actually an improvement, to be honest. Yeah, that's sick. The nest also interacts with the service of Luzaku Exotic Machine Gun to enhance its productivity. Neat, cool. All right, we got Stasis Harvest Aspect. 3 Stasis Harvest aspects: Tectonic Harvest, Grim Harvest, and Glacial Harvest needed some love, so we are reworking them. We also reworked Frost Armor and the way Stasis subclasses create Shatter Shards. Ooh, Shatter Shards! All Stasis subclasses now create Shatter Shards intrinsically. That makes sense. Are created when a Stasis Guardian shatters a Stasis Crystal or frozen enemy when they defeat or slowed or frozen enemy. Good. W. Makes sense. I mean, like, if you kill an enemy with a solar ability with Soul Invictus, you get Sunspot. So, like, it should make sense that you have some built-in synergy with the kit already. Harvest Aspects. Harvest Aspects gives you Frost Armor when you pick up Shatter Shard. While you have Frost Armor, defeating an enemy with a Stasis or Kinetic Weapon has a chance to shatter the enemy, dealing damage around the shattered enemy. While you have Frost Armor, taking damage now grants ability energy. What? Titan gets melee, Warlock gets grenade, and Hunter gets class. What? Reduce fragment slots from 3 to 2. Okay, that's the trade. Frost Armor. Frost Armor stacks now melt off at 1 at a time instead of all at once. Each stack now gives slightly more damage resistance. Damage resistance at 5 stacks is increased from 31% to 35%. Uh-oh, call Saltagruppo. He doesn't like damage resistance. When using Stasis subclass, you can now create Shatter Shards without equipping the Harvest Aspects. The Harvest Aspects will continue to give Frost Armor when you pick up Stasis Shards and grant a powerful benefit when you have Frost Armor. Meanwhile, Frost Armor now stacks fall off 1 at a time. That's cool. You get an extended time with Whisper of Rhyme, allowing for much higher Frost Armor uptime. Neat. Ability changes. Here we go. Alongside the above new abilities and reworks, we've packed a ton of other ability balance changes in this release. If we talked in depth about them, we'd be here all day. Not to mention we have a TWID coming after this, so we'll just list them below. We're going to omit some of the minor changes to avoid bogging down the blog. Instead, listing all the substantial changes, it's mostly buffs, but there are some nerfs sprinkling in as well to keep things balanced. Look for the full list of patch notes when Monument of Triumph launches on June 9th. Okay. Dawnblade Heat Rises. While it's active, you now reduces the accuracy of combatants, so you're harder to hit. No longer decreases initial burst of speed provided by activating Burst Guide. Okay. Icarus Dash, you can now... Wait. Oh, I got too excited. Increase fragment slots from 2 to 3. Sorry. I thought they're giving you multiple dashes. Nope. Psych. Stormcaller. Increase damage versus combatants, the melee, by 100%. Now it's 2 of... Woohoo! They really want you to use Palpatine. They desperately want you to use Palpatine. Lightning Surge. Increase fragment slots from 2 to 3. Voidwalker, Child of Old Gods, now suppresses combatants for a short time after initial launch. Increase the max speed and acceleration by 100%. Increase slots from 2 to 3. Nova Cataclysm. Allied projectiles now pass through the Nova Bomb instead of colliding with it. Bro, how many years have we begged for this? How many years? How many years have we asked for this? Jesus Christ, Bungie. Shade Binder, Frost Pulse, now grants 5 stacks of frost armor if the ability freezes a target. Increases fragment slots from 2 to 3. Broodweaver, the Wanderer. Threadlink's final blows now reduce your tangle cooldown by 1 second. Wow, that 1 second. I mean, it adds up. You're doing multiple, I guess, if you get those kills. I'm thinking endgame, like Grandmasters, Threadlings don't do anything, so like... Sentinel, Offensive Bulwark. While the player has Void Overshield, final blows now grant melee ability energy. Neat. Unbreakable, final blows with Unbreakable Blast now grant Devour. Ooh. Slightly increase the size of Unbreakable's blast. Bastion, increase fragment slot from 2 to 3. Yeah, they nerfed the Bastion to the ground. No. Sorry, that's the exotic. Shield Bash is now increased against combatants by 100%. Striker, kind of been left in the dust in the PvE world. Thruster can now be activated while air... Guys, we have Twilight at home now. Built-in Twilight. You know what? Fuck it. I respect it. All these years saying, you know what? Kevin Yates getting death threats and everything from crazy people. We're not bringing Twilight Garrison back. And you know what? I respect that Bungie says, we're going to hold the line. Fuck you. But hey, you can just have it built into your thruster pack. That's just too funny to me. Knockout aspect no longer grants a long range increase. Yeah, we knew this was being nerfed. Yeah, rubber banding so annoying. Touch of Thunder now grants 5 stacks of bolt charge per hit. Neat. Lightning Grenade. Flashbang now explodes on initial bounce. Cool. Storm Grenade duration increased by 0.5. Maximum tracking speed by 38%. Increased max tracking speed by 25%. Seismic Strike increase damage versus combatants by 100%. Sunbreaker Hammer Strike by 100%. Behemoth Diamond Lance reduce the freezing detonation thrown versus players. Cryoclasm sliding while you have frost armor now launches a stasis wave that shatters stasis crystals and frozen enemies in front of you. Glacial Quake heavy attacks now deal additional damage in an area in front of the Titan. I was expecting a nerf, but that seems like a buff. Berserker Dringer's Lash defeating elemental debuff targets now grant class ability energy. Increase fragment slots from 2 to 3. The suspending wave impact damage now scales to your class. Nice. Night Stalker on the prowl. In addition to acquiring target when you become invisible, we will now also passively acquire a target after a short time if you're not invisible. The passive acquisition does not occur against enemy guardians. Mobius Quiver reduced maximum Mobius Quiver buff to crossbow weapons by 50%. Ooh, I never used the crossbow because I just didn't like them, but that's a nerf. Ooh. I didn't think crossbows were broken, but apparently they're getting a big middle finger. Gunslinger acrobat dodge now can be done during airborne. Everyone gets to dodge in air. Everyone gets to dodge in air, baby. Proximity explosive knife. From 5 to 6 meters, increase the detonation damage by 11%. On your mark. Why? You can do it in the air. It's just so funny to me that you can dodge in air with a hunter. Grants solar restoration ×1 for 3 seconds instead of cure after the final blow 10 stacks. Knock him down. Grants cure on super activation. Blade Barrage. Increase the projectile speed and tracking. Increase the detonation from 3 to 4.25 meters. Increase the detonation damage by 10%. Knife detonations now scorch enemies, as it should have. Golden Gun, Dead Shot, reduce super energy gain from killing players by 40%. RIP PvP, it needed to be done. Arc Strider, Super now grants bolt charge stacks on kill. Lethal Current now jolts and creates an aftershock when used. Tempest Strike can be activated while in Super. Ascension detonates damage now scales your class stat when your class stat is above 100. Ooh, counts as ability. Okay. For all abilities, wasn't it the problem it was working with melee and grenade or something? That's what made it nasty. I'm trying to remember why people were spamming it because it was pretty broken, right? And a rope dart, successfully catching the dart now grants woven mail. Nice. Widow's Silk, increased fragment slots 2 to 3. Threaded Spectre, which is not bad, detonates now damage scales your class stat. And Snaring Slam counts as a class ability for all perks and abilities. Revenant, Shatter Dive, increased fragment slots 2 to 3. Winter Shroud 2 to 3. Grenades, lightning grenades, increased detonation by 25%. Scatter grenades, reduced versus players by 50%. The chase distance. Reduce the amount of grenade ability energy that this gain from perks by 12.5%. Grapple, against, oh, here we go. This is a nerf. You know it was coming. Against bosses, reduce max grapple melee damage by grenade stat by 50%. RIP Hunters. Against combatants, damage granted by grenade stat is now additive instead of multiplicative. Ripperoni. Hunters, you just got nerfed. Ripperoni, Prismatic Hunters. Multi-charge abilities and PvP only when the match begins. Yeah, so multi-charge, you're going to 1. Stasis, Whisper Rhyme, max armor increased from 8 to 7. Sorry, reduced from 8 to 7. RIP. Note damage resistance has been rescaled to provide same okay, so it's not as bad as you think. It's actually better. Arc, spark of fragment of shock when the jolt is applied via Arc Soul or an iconic sentry. There's now a 4-second internal cooldown for applying jolt again. They're trying to nerf the the turret buddies. Yeah, there's a 4-second internal cooldown. RIP. Invincibility stats effect made it. You can see it. Hopefully. Volatile rounds now increase weapon damage versus champions by 10%. Nice. Weapon damage with volatile rounds no longer stuns barrier champions. What? Weapon archetypes now govern weapon-based champion stuns. See, oh. I mean, that's fine. It kind of sucks, though. Like, it was hard to sometimes get volatile rounds to activate, so why couldn't it just be a little small extra thing? Probably too many numbers under the hood to have to try to figure out, right? Solar Radiant, increased damage versus champions by 10%, so Radiant getting a buff. Weapon damage while Radiant no longer stuns barrier champions. Okay, same reason. Prismatic, here, I'm expecting nerfs here. Passive Dominance, when Jolt is applied via an Arc Soul, there is now... Yep, there it is. That's what I thought. Ability stats reduced. Passive ability cooldown granted by ability stats by 20%. Reduced maximum active ability cooldown bonus granted by ability from 190 to 125%. You knew they were going to try to rein in ability energy. Regarding this change to ability stats, we feel Destiny Combat has leaned slightly too far in favor of using abilities to resolve encounters, and we like to shift it further in favor of using weapons. This reduction in ability uptime is paired with a general increase to primary and special weapon damage that we detailed in last week's article from Weapon Damage. The floor for ability uptime remains where it is in the live game, but the ceiling has brought down to avoid highly optimized builds from trivializing combat. You mean just spamming grenades over and over and killing an entire thing in Grandmaster mode, just throwing a bunch of shatter grenades or scatter grenades or whatever, or punching everything to death, throwing my hammer. Well, hammer's still going to be pretty good because it has no reduced time. So yeah, we all knew this was going to happen. Abilities remain incredibly potent and powerful, especially with the new and adjusted ability detail above. Another change we want to provide some context for: supers reduce super energy generation from dealing damage to bosses by 60%. They saw all the shenanigans from the last 2 raids, and they said, and even probably the Equilibrium dungeon, and they're like, no. With the changes to super generation and super stat and edge of fate, the boss damage meta shifted hard into super spam. It became possible to cast more than 6 supers in a single. Man, I wonder why that happened also. It's almost like you made shitty boss encounter, you know, which isn't the place we want supers to live. We worked with our internal raid and dungeon test groups to refine super generation to a healthier place. Supers remain incredibly effective for boss damage, but Guardians will now need to think about their weapons and their abilities to make most of the damage phase, which now that we're getting rid of, like, there's no like ultimate raids, the difficulty, there's no contest mode, none of that. You don't need all that overhyped damage, right? You don't need that. So this is fine. I think this is fine. That represent most of the ability change coming to this release. There are some that are minor tuning adjustments and bug fixes that we omitted for the sake of brevity, but you'll find those out. So there's even more. There's more to find out. Armor 3.0. Ever since the release of Armor 3.0 rework, we've seen increased severity in how players make their builds and leverage stats. However, there were also a couple things that felt missing from the full picture. It's about time we fit those missing pieces with Monument of Triumph. Armor archetypes. Our general goal for armor archetypes are as follows. Armor archetypes should help you understand and communicate your build crafting options with stats. Each of the 6 stats should be equally represented. Armor archetypes should support as many builds as possible. There should be as few armor archetypes as possible. Adding too many bloats the amount of armor you want to keep in your vault and the size of random roll pool, on top of making it harder to learn, understand, and communicate the stat for a build. No single armor archetype should dominate the build craft space. Man, I wish they had this train of thought before they released Edge of Fate. It's crazy, you know. This is called the post nut clarity, where you regret your decision. You're like, man, I wish I didn't do that. This is what we call Bungie's post nut clarity. They nutted over the community, said suck it, and now they're like, man, I regret doing that. We expect the nature of stats means that the archetypes will be more popular in specific types of activities. This is more about not making a best armor archetype for all non-crucible activities, or vice versa. We think the original 6 archetypes have fulfilled their goals admirably. However, certain builds require significantly more tools to get the stats they need. Since this doesn't usually limit the power of a build, instead primarily limits build variety, we plan on addressing this by adding 6 new archetypes. Didn't they just say that they didn't want to add too much, but they're still adding 6? Okay, let's find out. We got Siegebreaker, primary stat health, secondary grenade. That seems like PvP to me. Skirmisher, melee and weapons. Okay, that's not bad. Demolitionist, grenade and class. Colossus, super and health. Reaver, class and melee. Powerhouse, weapons and super. That's going to be the dominant right here. I'm telling you, that's the raid. The Powerhouse is the raid exclusive. You want Powerhouse for raids, and then you maybe might mix and match other things. Our goal is that despite exciting options for those that want looking at you, Powerhouse, they know. Your current builds won't be so outclassed that you feel like you must replace the roles you already have to be effective. People will. But if you want to experiment with new builds or further fine-tune your stats, there are more options to build the distribution you want. Before we move on, we wanted to tackle a few questions we're expecting from our build crafters out there. All right. Will the new archetypes be available on all armor? Almost any new Armor 3.0 drop will have it. Exceptions, exotic class items, which will keep their existing stat roll behavior. Boo. I bet they did that intentionally to that was like an extra, like, hey, how do we nerf prismatic? Exotic class items. Just keep the shitty stats. What about the missing stat combinations? Aren't there 30 possible archetypes? As mentioned above, we want to avoid bloating the pool, making a clear best choice for all Crucible, all PV, and we want each stat equally represented. We believe this is the right number and combination of archetypes to introduce to fit this goal, especially when combined with armor mods and subclass bonuses, not counting mirrors. There will be only 3 armor stats pairs that are not available. Is it going to be harder to grind armor now? No, with a combination of 6 archetypes and sheer number of armor set bonuses available, because there's a shit ton of them, it made sense to give the armor mods on your Ghost a boost. Each one will now improve the odds. Brother, we knew it wasn't doing shit. It was like under 25% chance of it actually working. Each one will now improve the odds of your chosen archetype dropping to 1 and 2, previously 1 and 3 in combination with a large number of ways to get the stat combination you want. We believe this will make it significantly easier to get the stats builds you want. Lying assholes. Liars! Dude, everyone know the Ghost mod was doing shit all. Exotic armor stats. When we originally released Armor 3.0, we had a longer term plans for exotic armor, a way to access higher tier behavior. It made no sense. This is so stupid. Originally, we planned to give them a deterministic route for upgrading. However, we ultimately realized that it was healthier for the game to take the most straightforward path. Bitch, why couldn't you do that before you killed the game? Why did it take you? Why is it that the community told you, why didn't you just make them tier 4 or 5? Or hell, tier 3s? Well, why, you came, it took you over a year or so to come to the same conclusion as everyone in your community? Jeez, this company's stupid. Moving forward, all exotics will have tier 5 stats and will have access to all tuning mods. This applies retroactively to all 3.0 exotics other than collection rolls. So if you don't want to trade your armor for one, okay, cool. So stupid. Why was that just not the thing from the get-go? So stupid. Armor set bonuses. Now that we settled in the sandbox, we've seen Guardians leverage armor set bonuses in a lot of ways. Overall, we're happy with how they fit in the role as a more flexible element. I thought they were good. I would give them credit. Some of them are pretty ass, while others are pretty good. However, there's a couple things we felt we should address. First, there are 2 set bonus perks that were big enough outliers that they need to be balanced. Ride, die together, smoke jumper set, yeah. Decrease the maximum damage resistance from 50 to 40, yeah. While the rapid decay nature of the DR means that it can provide a high bonus without being a problem, the easy availability of Orb of Power combined with stacks of other DR sources make this set more valuable when mixed and matched than we'd like. We believe this adjustment hits a sweet spot where it's still potent, but not a must pick. I don't know. I saw some other sets that increase your damage and resistance as well. That would be pretty good. I honestly, since there's no longer contest mode, I think smoke jumper set outside of like if you're doing ultimate for funsies. Outside of that, you don't need smoke jumper set now. I would rather have the other sets now that we know that there's no new content. There's no reason to farm unless you're trying to like low man, challenge stuff, right? Super Lumino Motion Wayward Psych 4-piece set is, I don't remember what set this was. Increase the health granted while moving from 15 to 30 seconds per outside of the Crucible. The power of the Wayward Psych set fell short of our goals for a raid armor. Oh, that's why I forgot, because it was stupid. Should feel especially epic to Desert Perpetual, so we doubled the effective healing. Perk behavior is unchanged PvP. Yeah, that's why it was so easy to forget. The second issue is simultaneously more straightforward and harder to solve. The current available list of bonuses, while often fun to build craft, can sometimes feel like they provide very few options. Many builds, even Guardians, seek something outside of the standard setup, end up having not enough options to pick from, instead defaulting to a small number of 2-piece set bonus combinations. The solution is simple. As we previously noted, we're refreshing a massive amount of gear across the game. That includes more set bonuses than we previously made, compressed into a single release. We don't expect these to fully replace the existing options, which will still be available to earn, but you can look forward to a wide array of options, from elemental effects, ability synergies, and survivability to explosions, movement, echoes of armor mods past. There's something for everyone to whet your appetite. Okay, so let's see what we got. We got Exodus Dawn, 2-piece emergency electromagnetic. When your shields become broken, collect all nearby power. And okay, 4-piece repurpose charge. Whenever you gain, lose, or spend an armor charge, heal and gain damage reduction for a short time. This effect scales with the amount of armor gained, lost, or spent. Okay, doesn't look bad. Veritas. We got Lucent Transmutation. Performing a finisher on a combatant or landing successful power melee final blows generate an elemental pickup based on your light. Okay. Lucent Ties. Performing a finisher on powerful combatants heals you and generates loyal void moths. I mean, that sounds like it has synergy with that one exotic, the moth exotic for hunters. So that'd be interesting to try to build into it. Have a cool little kit. Before we move on, we have seen one question coming up since our Monument of Triumph reveal we'd like to address. Will Armor 3.0 versions of Raid Armor still have access to raid mods? No. No. Since we know certain mods can sometimes be more valuable than a set bonus in specific situations, Armor 2.0 for all available raids will be focusable at Hawthorne for 10 spoils of conquest each. There you go. The answer is no, but for the people, and why some people will want to use those bonuses is that yes, they do increase. Like Guard of Salvation's bonus is actually really relatively generous, and the fact that people also use it for low mans, right? Exotic armor balance. Ooh. Alongside the abilities, we've got exotics. Worm Husk Crown. At one point was a genuine scourge upon PvP, but within modern sandbox it has fallen by the wayside, especially in PvE, where it has always struggled. So we're giving it a facelift with some build crafting hooks. All right, so rework effect. Solar multi-kills grant Burning Soul while active. Huh? Solar ability damage is increased and dodging greatly cures the player. While active, solar ability damage is increased and dodging. So they completely remove the arc stasis effect. Wormhusk Crown. Am I smoking crack? I thought this is the one that made you let you dodge. So they changed it to solar. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know. I mean, I don't know, man. Shards of Galador. We looked at all class abilities, capabilities when it came to super damage output was exotic. Since hunters have fewer options than other classes, we figure it was worth adding another one. It's no Celestial Nighthawk, but we figure embedding large solar bombs in your foes is a close one. Landing 5 out of 7 knives in a volley during super causes a delayed explosion and releases shrapnel. This can happen with each volley of super knives. Landing both explosions is approximately comparable to a Curus Thunder Crash. Yo, Shards of Galador actually gonna be sick. Now, is this an addition? Like, are they adding this on top of what it already did? Like, are you gonna get super generation as well? Because if this is on top of the arc and like you're getting 3 different elements with this Wormhusk, that sounds cool. Caliban's Hand. I like this exotic. Provide a strong option for prismatic class, but has largely fallen behind on the base exotic. To help, we're leaning further into what it does. Letting you chain proximity knives with ignitions. Increase the recharge bonus by 25%. Deal damage with Scorch now refunds a small amount of energy. Ignition final blows refund knife energy and can overflow into additional charge. Dang, okay. Frosties have been begging for a buff. Yes, they have. Now you gain stacks of frost armor while sprinting. When you have frost armor, stasis weapon deal increased damage. Oh, so that's where it went. So Wormhusk is now Frosties. I guess thematically that makes sense. Wait, hold on. I'm thinking I'm getting too exotic. Wormhusk? I don't think Wormhusk is the exotic I think it is. Am I crazy? Hold on. I'm just going to Google this because... Wormhusk. I know what it looks like. What does it do? You not going to tell me, you ass clown. The class ability usage, you restore 67 HP. Oh! Okay, dodging gives a small health and bump. Okay, sorry, Burning Souls. Okay. No, this is not the exotic I was thinking of. This one's awful. It was just used. So that's a straight up buff. Okay, yeah, Wormhusk is getting some love. Sorry, it was bothering me that I didn't understand what was being said. Shinobu's Vow. Shinobu's Vow has not seen much PvE play over years. With the introduction of Bolt Charge to the game and its popularity in other builds, this particular exotic seemed like a good candidate. All right, so now Skip Grenades energy, gain energy when you gain stacks of Bolt Charge. Skip Grenades damage now grant Bolt Charge. When you gain full Bolt Charge, heal yourself and nearby allies and earn an Enhanced Skip Grenade. Enhanced Skip Grenades bounce 2 additional times before detonating, releasing bonus seekers. What? Okay, we'll see. Raid and Flux. Roaming supers have long been felt rough to use and champion heavy in content. These changes to Raid and Flux allow you to use it as a potent anti-overload option and reward options into combo finishers. Remember when you used to beat the shit out of Raid bosses with Raid and Flux? I remember. Arc Staff now jolts targets. Combo finisher Palm Blast gets a 1.5 base exotic damage bonus and reports as critical damage. Mothkeeper Wrap. So this is the exotic I was talking about. In order to encourage more diverse build crafting of Mothkeepers, we opted in turn additional grenade override. Similar to Gunpowder Gamble, this allows the use of your base grenade in addition to Moth Grenades, without lowering the downtime of Moth Grenades compared to current high uptime builds in Live Grenade, which also increases uptime if you weren't investing grenade generation. Mothkeeper's Wraps now provides Moth Grenades as a conditional override instead of a complete override. Getting kills from any source increments a counter. The amount added to the counter per kill depending on the rank of the enemy killed. Once the counter reaches 6, you gain 2 Moth Grenade charges until they are used. All current functionality and synergies with Moth Grenades remain the same. Arc Moth still blind, having your grenades at 100 still increases their damage. They still synergize with subclass fragments, and I bet they work with the new armor set, the Lucent Hive set. Increase the movement speed of Arc Moths by roughly 43%, Void Moths by 25%. Both Moths from the Seg Grenade will now attempt to target separate enemies, allies if possible. Oh, Lucky Pants. Here comes the nerf. Man, Lucky Pants has always been, even when other people didn't like it, care for it, I always loved Lucky Pants before it got really, really broken. Oh, Lucky Pants, you've always been pretty good with so many powerful hand cannons. It's become hard to justify the incredible magnitude of damage versus bosses. We are making some target adjustments to hand cannons that we had considered outliers, as well as pushing Lucky Pants into a more non-bossing combat role for it to live as on a sustainably in perpetuity. This is a fancy way of saying we don't want to live in a Lucky Pants meta forever. Increase area value max damage bonus to 4.5. Decrease Uncivil's discourse max damage to 2.5, which was the main outlier. Reduce Lucky Pants bonus versus bosses by 33%. But hey, here's the deal though. Remember, they're increasing primary damage by 30 something percent, right? So it's not completely lost damage. It's still going to be something you could probably use as a swap in. Like, you burn all your stuff, you have a specific loadout for Lucky Pants. I still think it's gonna, that's what we did with Outbreak Perfected, right? I feel like it's still gonna have usage, especially the fact that there is no contest mode. I feel like people are gonna underestimate that you can still use Lucky Pants. It's just not gonna be everyone has to be on it, right? Especially Pantheon. I think everyone was running Lucky Pants for Pantheon, the original. I know I was, especially when we were hiding out of bounds. Titan exotic, Hollow Fire Heart. Hollow Fire has been a very simple exotic for a long time, offering clear-cut benefits. However, its effects are largely vestigial of Destiny 2's first year. To bring it into modern sandbox, it now leans deeper into I am a mobile sunspot, offering the effects of Soul Invictus Sunspot and then some while roaming and defeating. Yes, that's the biggest downfall of Sunspots. Reworked while your solar super is charged. Ability Final Blows cure you and give you stacks of Sunfire Furnace. While Sunfire Furnace is active, Grenade, Shield Burst, Final Blows trigger and ignition. Each stack increases grenade generation, class ability generation, super damage. Upon exiting your super, all stacks are converted into super energy. Decreased ability regen bonus from 3.5 to 2.5. So it's been nerfed, but we'll see. Hey, we'll see how it goes. It's built in now. The only thing that it doesn't seem to do is that it burns targets. Shield Burst, no, it does. And Shield Burst, Final Blows trigger and ignition. So it is kind of built in. Okay, so I like the rework. It's like they built it in. Okay. Pyro Gale Gauntlets. I do like these. There's other options. As part of re-examining super damage dogs, we want to bring up Pyro Gale Gauntlets. However, it's already quite a competitive option with Roaring Flames. Because of this, we have instead improved its ability to mark its targets as well as damage its damage ever so slightly to reduce the necessity of Roaring Flames. Slightly increase Super Cyclone Scorch per tick. Increase Super Cyclone Explosion by 10%. Increase Super Cyclone Tracking by 40%. Thank you. It should be remarkably easier to get projectiles to track a target at range. Great. Stoicism, Spirit of Star-Ear. Here we go. Here's another nerf. In comparing super damage, we believe that it's safe in modern super damage climates to increase Spirit of Star-Ear's benefits for Twilight Arsenal back to its former. Oh! It's a buff. We're back to 50%. Let's fucking go. Twilight Arsenal getting some indirect love. Let's fucking go. Severance and Closure. We figured it was high time to give Severance and Closure some of its potency while helping it bind into the few kinetic aligned keywords that we use. Improve occlusion on detonation, making it easier to hit with. Remove the effect that prevents combatants from being hit by multiple shockwaves in a short period of time. Enemies hit by the shockwave are disoriented for a short time. Praxis Investments. The Praxis Investments has a cool fantasy, but it's tuning at Renegade's launch prevent it from being the exciting new option that we want it to be. Yeah, it was awful. In this release, we've given it a significant tune up from its improving its value, uptime, and usability. Increase melee damage by 500%. Holy crap! Big slam. God dang! Increased jetpack fuel gain per weapon kills in PvE from 10% to 20%. Increased jetpack fuel powered melee from 35% to 50%. Updated the exotic perk to recognize knockout kills as powered melee kills. Good. Improve the jetpack flight experience. Decrease the wind-up time for maximum flight duration from 0.8 to 0.5. Remove the behavior that causes jetpack flight to end early when contact is detected with a floor or a wall. Fix the bug that caused jetpack kick to target dead enemies, ending flight early. Updated camera to better convey your speed. We'll see. 500% is nothing to joke about, like laugh out. Like, that's big boy damage. Big damage. But there's a lot of options. I'm terrified what they're going to do to strongholds and syntheseps. No backup plans. Long have players asked to have no backup plans work on non-void to go with exotic visual shifting to match. We're happy to say that it does now. It operates a bit differently than it used to, but it still leans into aggressive close range play built around your defensive buffs. Additionally, we've opened up the triggers to melee as well as shotguns to allow clean up punches to also keep the engine going. Now triggers and benefits off of shotguns and melee final blows. Shotguns or melee final blows now start health regeneration instead of granting void overshield. Shotgun or melee final blows extend the timer of any active defense buffs on you. This includes overshield, restoration, amplified, frost armor. Whoa! The shotgun damage bonus is now active when you have any of the above noted debuffs as well. Hey, no backup plans is about to be like, even with like the fact that you can keep up some of these others, like frost armor is no slouch. Like, woo, here we go. Cadamus Ridge Lance Cap has struggled to find a niche since release. We made some adjustments to that opens up triggers conditions and a bit blah blah blah. I butchered that. They're trying to make it easier to use. Screw it. Now also spawns Stasis Lance with rapid stasis weapon damage. Ooh, and final blows even when not behind their rally barricade. Sick. Now grants bonus Stasis Lance damage on your current stack of frost armor. So, okay, you get Stasis Lances even when you're not behind your barricade and for damage, and it increases your damage based on your frost armor. Neat. Sick. Point Contact Cannon Brace. Point Contact has routinely been at its best when you just tap fire Thunderclap instead of charging it, which neglects the awesome fantasy of the ability. So we are making a couple of changes targeted at making the user experience of charging Thunderclap with Point Contact better, which of course means more lightning. Activating Thunderclap also releases lightning strikes as you wind up the punch. Lightning strike damage now scales further based on how long Thunderclap is charged, up to 2 times. This stacks with the bonus damage from casting while amplified. Ooh. Reworked melee regen from lightning strike kills to compensate for the new wave of bolts on charge up. No longer target tiered. Flat amount has been increased to compensate. Should see larger return on average. We'll see. Helm of Saint 14. Little prick. The current output of Helm Saint 14's disorient in PvE is completely overshadowed by weapons of light, and alongside the rework to Ward of Dawn, we also found that the distortion posed concerns in PvP, we took the opportunity to give this exotic a complete facelift that integrates with the war changes, provides a more appropriate replacement to the distortion, and bolsters the fantasy of being Saint 14 inspired by his infinite bubbles from old story missions. Unchanged, Weapons of Light continues to persist for the wearer and for allies upon leaving. I think this is stupid. It should be built into the super itself for the classic. Removed, no longer disorients your enemies within your warden or upon blocking with Sentinel Shield. New functionality. While Weapons of Light is active, kills or sustained damage from any source grants stacks of the Saint. Under the same circumstances, void and kinetic damage sources will also suppress in a radius around the victim. This sucks dick. This actually sucks dick, because this is only good if you have your super. I'm sorry, this just, like, you could say the other thing, but at least it had utility in PvP and survivability. But this is like, bro, if I'm popping bubble, it's to kill shit, like the bosses. I think this is the worst change that they've made so far. Yeah, truly, one of the worst changes. Out of all these changes, this one's awful. Picking up Ward Dawn consumes all accrued stacks and extends your ward's duration based on how many. I mean, are you? I don't know, man. It's still not good because Well's still better. I'm just saying, I'm going to tell you, for survivability, Bubble is just not good anymore. I mean, that's not true. That's not true. You do get overshield leaving, so that's actually not true anymore. I take that back. That was the new change. Now you keep your overshield for a couple seconds. You can go in and out like classic Destiny 1. So, I don't know. I still think Well's better. I do. I think Well's still better, but I could be wrong. Because Well, you don't even need an exotic, and Titans are losing damage with this. And what are Warlocks doing that Titans can't do damage? Like Nova Bomb. I mean, I'm not respecting Warlock damage, I guess. I just feel like a quick Thunder Crash lets you get back into the damage rotation. I just don't see the bubble. I just don't. Feedback fence has been a recurring point, like especially if you have to waste an exotic for it. Like, I just don't see it. I just don't. It's just going to be one of those where you swap in and swap out exotics, I guess. Feedback fence has been a recurring point of feedback in the Crucible, even when not charged up. This should help. It no longer adds damage resistance against players. Blast Riders! Blast Wave. With many changes coming to the base stasis kit, we looked at how our dedicated stasis exotics were performing and saw a spot to help improve the performance, consistency, and potency of Blast Wave Striders all in one fell swoop. This should help shift it from a highly situational tool to on-demand stasis explosion for aggressive behemoth playstyles. Adjusted the projectile to mirror that of Renegade's Behemoth Walker stasis detonation. Decreased defeats to charge meter. Increased tracking strength of stasis shrapnel on detonation. Should be more effective. Should more effectively track frozen targets. Replace sliding on Shiver Strike hits as an activator. Fix an issue where multiple kills of the same frame wouldn't increment the perk buildup. We'll see how that plays out. Warlock exotics. Here we go. This is the last run. Nezarec Sin. For a lot of players, Nezarec Sin has been a solid workhouse exotic when all else fails to suffice. We didn't want to modify this use case, but we did see an opportunity to tie it into the new Void Walker aspect. Tithe away for the final God of Pain. It's your turn to devour your enemies. Who knows? Maybe he's still listening. New effect. Targets damaged by Soul Siphon are suppressed. What if I just stopped that? What if they added like a voice activation that you actually hear Nezarec's laugh or something when you activate it? That would be really cool if they did that. Even though he was a shitty boss, it would still be really cool. Targets damaged by Soul Siphon are suppressed. Defeating suppressed targets or with Soul Siphon grants an additional 1.5 seconds to Abyssal Extractors. Metadoxia. In our super damage exotic audit, we found a couple issues in how Meta Doxia was dealing its damage, which was leading to lower values than expected. Increased suspending burst damage from super combined by 20%. This makes it equal to Curse Thunder Crash. Have at it. Skull of Dire Amakarana. I'm just going to read what it does. That's a lot of text. New effect. After casting a Nova Bomb, you get a short period during which you can cast a Nova Bomb. Lance. Destroying a Cataclysm Nova with a Nova Lance creates a Nova Vortex alongside the Cataclysm Nova Bomb Seekers. What the fuck? Unchanged. Super energy on Nova Bomb final blows and final weapon blows while you have Devour. The additional damage resistance while casting Nova Bomb has been removed from the perk text, but remains as hidden functionality to help the new play pattern sing. So you cast Cataclysm, you throw another one, a Nova Lance, which creates a vortex alongside Cataclysm Nova Bomb Seekers. What the hell? I wish we could just see it. I mean, seriously, just let's see what it looks like. Crown of Tempest is an exotic that decently powerful, but rather demanding to maintain and exciting to use compared to other options in Sandbox. Plus, Crown of Tempestas on Stormcaller Warlock deserves a bit more thunder, don't you think? Increase the duration of conduct times in PvE from 7 seconds to 10. New effect. While you at least one stack of conduct times, Ionic Sentry creates a storm grenade when it's deployed. Okay. Mantle Battle Harmony. Ooh. Has been left a bit in the dust over the years. The changes here allows it to function even when fighting bosses, as well as give a nice bonus to actually choosing to use your super instead of holding on to it for damage bonus. It now can trigger super energy gang or weapon damage bonus on sustained weapon damage in addition to final blows. After casting your super, now gains surges for all elements and weapons matching your super damage type cause detonations when hitting targets for a moderate duration. Okay. Asterisks Verse, the PvP special. Because of the natural limitations of Blink and the small area effect of the volatile burst this exotic grants, it has struggled to see much use. To address these, we've added a new air move ability, which should help add some flexibility to link both in and out of combat and expand its ability to apply volatile. While both this helmet and Blink are equipped, you can now use air move input to perform a dark blink horizontally. Bro, everyone's getting Twilight Garrison now. This ability has a longer cooldown in Crucible. Blinking or dark blinking now grants volatile rounds in addition to volatile explosions. Brother, everyone gets Twilight Garrison. Everyone gets Twilight Garrison. Dawn Course. By the way, can we just say that Strongholds and Syntheseps did not get touched? So yay for me. Dawn Course various benefits didn't quite come together into a strong build, which limited its viability. To address this, we've expanded its Scorched benefits to also apply ignitions, which should synergize well with Incinerator Snap and further improve its interaction with Daybreak. Now causes your Scorch to build an even more intense ignition. Now grants melee energy for dealing ignition damage in addition to Scorch damage. Remove the internal cooldown on energy gains from Scorch damage and retuned gains to return slightly more energy overall. Now causes Daybreak projectiles to always immediately trigger an ignition. That's huge. Nothing Manacles. Scatter Grenades and Nothing Manacles got a bit too much love in Renegades, so we're tuning them back down. Who didn't see this coming? Who didn't see this? Extra Seekers can no longer chain off themselves. Just the initial grenade. Reduce Extra Seekers generated from 4 to 3. Reduce range and lifetime of Extra Seekers. Guys, I think Nothing Manacles just got nerfed to the ground. Controverse Hold. While it was nice seeing Handheld Nova back in the spotlight again, the value of effort of using Controverse was 2-bit free. Reduce energy returns when using Magnetic Grenade, Handheld Supernova by 15%. This in addition to fixing the health chunking bug. Yeah. We knew that was already fixed. This, we knew they were probably going to do something more to make it less... I think Controverse Holds will still be really good, just not for what people were wanting to use it for, to be honest. Deimos. I'm going to just say Deimos Fusions. Damo Fusions has been a recurring point of feedback in Crucible, allowing far too easy kills while being completely safe. This should help reduce that, increase the time between damage ticks against players from 0.1 to 0.3. That's all for now. Thank you for continuing to support. We hope to enjoy playing the sandbox as much as we have internally. We're excited to get you all in your hands June 9th. Yeah, because that's probably the last time you get to play it because people are getting fired to move over to Marathon. So rip-a-roni. That is a shit ton. And it's crazy how some of these are things that should have been a thing a long time ago. It's all good stuff. It's crazy how they've done so much. And this could have just been, this should have been Edge of Fate. They should have named it Edge of Fate, and this was it. Not the other crap. And it should have been like free. And then to supplement that, they should have shoved a shit ton of microtransactions. And I think people would have been okay. Guys, you get all this free shit, the free modes, everything, all the changes, 100% free. But we're shoving a shit ton of microtransactions. Will there be people that would bitch about it? Absolutely. But I still think this fixes a lot of issues. This improves a lot of things that have been neglected. I think there's probably still more that we're not thinking of that needed love, that may have not gotten love. But then it does feel like they're trying to leave things in a fairly decent place, which is kind of more than what they did with Destiny 1. They kind of abandoned Destiny 1 immediately after Age of Triumph. They didn't really do much outside of uplift raids and said, hey, good luck, have fun. Oh. Okay. But yeah, let me know what was a lot of this is stuff I'm going to get my hands on to try to play and see how it plays out, but it's a lot of good stuff. Just it's unfortunate it was the last minute. And when Destiny actually dies, you know, that sucks. So I'll see you guys next time. There's a blog, a TWID that's supposed to come out later or soon. We'll see how that plays out. I'll see you guys in the next one.